everyone, welcome back to a new post today. And today let's not look at the most important points for the month, which I need to complete for October, but let's look at the COP meeting, COP29 of Baku, Azerbaijan, which is very important. And it has kicked off on Monday. So in Azerbaijan, delegates from all the countries meeting for a very important target. What is that? And also news is the new the new president of USA, Donald Trump, who has pledged that he is not going to abide by climatic negotiations or compulsions. So this is very important. COP29 is very important from a new goal point of view, and also from the point of view of US, which is the world's largest contributor to greenhouse gases, pulling out of the climatic negotiations. So what exactly is COP? COP is nothing but the Conference of Parties, and it includes all the members to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is an intergovernmental agreement that was signed in 1992 at the Rio Earth Summit, along with the Agenda 21 Forest Principles and the Convention of Biological Diversity and the United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification as well. So this is one of the agreements that was signed at the Rio Summit in 1992. And we have the heads of the parties who are signatories to this convention meeting at the COP. It's an annual meeting. Has the meeting been continuous? Yes, it has been continuous since 1992, but with the exception of COVID-19 in 2020, when the countries could not meet together. Now, what do these countries do when they meet? So when they meet, they discuss the goals for achieving the Paris Climate Change Agreement, which has to be achieved till 2030, and therefore what actions are the countries doing, which are submitted in the form of the intended national determined contributions. Now, every year since 1995, except for 2020, the parties come together to discuss on this international climate policy. Now, one of the significant tasks is to review the national communication and the emission inventories of every country through a document called as intended nationally determined contributions, which is submitted by every state and also India as well. Now, according to the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, based on this invention, the COP, that is a Conference of Parties, assesses the effects of the measures taken by the parties and the progress made in achieving the ultimate objective of the convention. Now, let's look at some of the milestones with regard to COP29, with regard to COP, or the Conference of Parties. The first major breakthrough was in COP3 at Kyoto in 1997, when the parties adopted the Kyoto Protocol, an international treaty that placed obligations on the set of rich and industrialized countries to cut the emissions gas by assigned amounts, and targets varied by country, but on an average 4.2% of reduction by 2012, below the 1990 levels. However, Kyoto Protocol did not last long, as the rich and the powerful countries were not happy with its provisions. And then the second attempt was COP21 at Paris in 2015, which led to the landmark Paris Agreement, a legally binding treaty, unlike the Kyoto Protocol, to limit global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius at the pre-industrial levels. And the parties have agreed to submit plans in the form of nationally determined contributions by 2020. The next milestone came into COP26 Glasgow 2021 in the form of Glasgow Pact. The parties made a commitment to phase down the use of coal, and this and also to phase out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. This is the first time that a United Nations climate agreement explicitly mentioned coal. And in last year's 2020, in COP28 at Dubai, the Loss and the Damage Fund was officially launched, and the fund is meant to provide financial help to the countries struck by climate disasters. So what exactly is the COP29 is important? Now, let me tell you that the COP29 is very important for negotiating the new collective quantified goal, a new amount that will be mobilized by the developed countries for the developing countries to finance the climate actions for mitigation and also to deal with climate change. Now, it has to be more than 100 billion, and that is that the developed countries have to cater to, and and they have to raise it from 2020. However, the talks over the new collective quantified goal in the recent months has been deeply divided, and more so after Donald Trump said that he's not going to abide by climate agreements or even cut greenhouse gas emissions. He brushed aside the talks about climate change and global warming as well. Parties disagree on almost every element of the fund, including the amount of money that needs to be raised and who should contribute and what types of finance should feed into it and what it should fund and what period of time it should cover. India has said that it should not look at the climate finance as investment goals, and also spoke about the trade barriers being imposed in the name of climate finance. India is talking on the basis on the support of the basic countries and also the least developed countries as well. So India is voicing the concerns of many of the backward and the developing countries at Baku, Azerbaijan. The important point to be noted is the new goal that the developed countries have to commit to cater to the climate finance for the developing countries and the poor countries, because they are the ones who have achieved development earlier, and they are the ones who have released most of the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and therefore now the mitigation and the tackling effects of the developing countries have to be borne by them. So let's see what happens by COP29. However, these are the few milestones of COP and also why COP29 is actually important for the new collective quantified goal. Keeping in mind India's participation as well, you should be tracking on what points India is speaking on from its side and who is it actually supporting and what are its arguments and justifications as well. I hope you like this topic, and if you did, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of the video. I shall see you tomorrow in another new post. Until then, it's very happy learning.